The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. When the Pharisees heard that Jesus had silenced the Sadducees, they gathered together. And one of them, a lawyer, asked him a question to test him. "Teacher, which commandment in the law is the greatest?" Jesus said to him, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the greatest and first commandment. And a second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets." The Gospel of the Lord.
My dear brothers and sisters, today, through a question that's put forward by one of the listeners, Jesus gives to us the simplicity and really the concrete expression of our existence and our Christian calling that he gives to us. And that is simply to love God. And it sounds far too simple for what our baptism involves and what it means to be a Christian and a Catholic. And yet, as Jesus explains, everything else that is taught, everything else that is explained is ancillary and builds upon this one fundamental commandment, to love God with everything that we have and to love our neighbor as ourselves. To love from a place where we're using our mind and our heart and our soul, which is an attempt to express everything that exists within the human being, to love God as the best we can, and not partially and not conditionally, but in everything that we do. And as simple as it might sound at the very beginning, immediately as we begin to reflect upon it, we start to realize how difficult the task that is, as we're still living within the structures and the confinements and the conditions of our earthly existence. There are so many things that we see, so many things that we hear, so many things that we feel, that pull us away from that and want us to love those things, some of which are goods and are very good, including our spouses, those that the Lord has given to us that we love dearly. But the Lord says to us, even above these things that you feel on the outer surface of your emotions and even in your heart, have a recognition and understand that the primary commandment that is given to all of us by the very nature of how we're created and through our baptism is to love God with everything that we have. And that's a task that is learned through life, but one that is tested as well, and that comes to completion through God's grace that he gives to us. And it becomes for us the great joy of our life. That everything else then, all the loves that we have for our children, for our spouses, for those given to us by the Lord, are sublimated and enforced and strengthened in the love that we have for God. And there's never any competition then between them. But the key for us is to know where our heart is first of all. Because where our heart is first of all, then all the others will follow. And we will learn to love those around us and those given to us in a way that the Lord has given to us to love. We will love them as ourselves. We will love them based upon the way that we're giving ourselves entirely to God to love. And then we find the joy and especially the peace that reigns within our hearts, that we recapture again and again, which is the treasure of our lives. We're beginning month, I don't know what now, of this pandemic, and I know that it's something that wears on all of us and something that is easily a temptation to pull us down and to get us frustrated in the perseverance that we have to show in what we go through. And I leave with us today just the wariness and the exhortation for all of us to never lose heart and to not allow ourselves to be discouraged. And I say that now because the time continues to build on this and it continues to wear on us, because there are so many things still out of the ordinary that we have to do, and also to recognize that the evil one uses so many instances in our lives, including this, the afflictions and difficulties of life, to discourage us. And Christ is asking us always, no matter what takes place, even the real sufferings of our life, to never lose heart and to always be joyful in the Lord, and to allow that to be an example. Paul's letter to the Thessalonians today is a wonderful example of that. I invite you to read that on your own too. We didn't read it at Mass today. But he exhorts, but he also thanks the Lord for the example of these people that he has preached to, who have received the word and have received the gospel in their hearts in the midst of affliction. And they have become an example to Paul and to all the others of the joy that they can have in the midst of affliction, because the root and the rock, as the psalm says today, is their experience of the gospel and the joy of the gospel. And that is the bedrock for them. And everything else in the exterior, the difficulties of afflictions, even the real difficulties of life, they never allow to destroy or to impede the joy that is there for all of them. And I say that to you and to me, all of us together, to recognize that this is a time of temptation as much as discouragement as anything else. And there are many places, many things that we can listen to in many media forms or even discussions among friends that can pull us down and discourage us in the midst of this affliction. But the key for us, that in the midst of the affliction, to find our joy always present there, and to allow ourselves then to be an example to others. Be an example as the Thessalonians that Paul gives today. Be example of that deep, profound joy that nothing can take away. Based on what? Based on that I haven't lost heart, and because I have a heart still, I'm able to give all that heart and all that soul and all that mind and love to God, and to rekindle within me that strength to be an example in the quietness of joy to the world of the goodness of God in our lives.